And sing along if you know the words.
It's no joke when you choke, so get LifeVac and live. Without breath, there'll be death, so get LifeVac and live. Get LifeVac and live. Get LifeVac and live.
LifeVac and live.
Get LifeVac and live. Rick Fatscher, tonight, the Man in the Arena solo. A lot of people ask, why the Man in the Arena? Why the change from LifeVac Live to Man in the Arena? Well, I'll tell you. The Man in the Arena is a quote from Theodore Roosevelt, which Arthur has taken a liking to, and it's really catching on. So I want to read it to you real quickly. Those of you not familiar, it is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, and I'll stumble, or where the door of deeds could have been done them better. The credit belongs to the man who's actually in the arena. And tonight you're going to meet John Salerno, who's definitely in the arena, whose face is marred by dust, and John's face is not marred by dust and sweat and blood, but who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. Theodore Roosevelt, and you can see why Arthur has embraced that, and it's the title of our show, The Man, and in some cases, The Woman in the Arena. Thank you, Lisa Warner, for holding that up, because I can't memorize that. But without further ado, I want to welcome our special guest tonight, John Salerno from Texas. We're calling Sideshow for some reason. We're going to get to that. John, welcome.
Thank you, Rick. I appreciate it. It's really a pleasure and an honor to be part of this. I believe in LifeVac so heartily, man. It's definitely an honor.
No doubt. Now, to back up a little, give a little bit about your backstory. You know what? Everything circles back to Long Island. You were born in Farmingdale, raised, and you spent some time, one of New York's finest, right?
Yes, sir. I started out, I had great mentors in the Farmingdale Fire Department, started out volunteering in Farmingdale. I ended up doing about 25 years there, leaving as a chief. But that put me into the path of the law enforcement. And I joined the NYPD and spent 11 years in the NYPD until I got hurt. And then I had to retire.
And then after retirement, was it directly then you found your way down to Texas?
No, I stayed in Farmingdale for a while. I moved to Texas about 2000, I would say 15, moved here. Mm-hmm. And man, I love it. It's just I needed a break away from Long Island. I needed the change, and truthfully, after 9/11, just had some, a lot of pressure, a lot of things that I didn't know what was going on. So had to get out of that environment for a little bit.
No doubt. And part of the work that you're doing now, which is why we have a kinship and a shared spirit. I mean, you identify with LifeVac's mission, and we wholeheartedly support your mission. I know that you're doing a lot of work with PTSD, with depression, in a lot of different events down there in Texas. So yeah. Talk about your radio efforts, the stand-up comedy organization that you're involved with.
Well, the way I really got connected with Arthur was through John LaRocchia of Laughter Saves Lives.
Right.
Started doing some comedy. I loved what John was doing with Laughter Saves Lives for different organizations and raising funds. And he introduced me to Arthur and told me what Arthur was all about. And being a first responder for 30 years, I've seen the tragedies out in the field on what happens with choking. And I personally had 2 choking victims in New York City when I was on a job, and they had already been passed out when I got there. The Heimlich maneuver didn't work, and abdominal thrusts on a prone patient just didn't work. And when I saw LifeVac, I said, man, that's just a tool that's a tool you need in your toolbox.
Right, absolutely. And more and more, the statistics don't lie. Standard protocols, whether they be back blows, abdominal thrusts, finger sweeps, the whole, whatever you'd expect to be doing without knowledge of LifeVac fails, even in the hand of a trained professional like yourself, an EMT, a police officer, a nurse, a doctor, close to 30% of the time as a failure rate. That's not acceptable. And it wasn't acceptable to Arthur Lee when he learned of a 7-year-old who passed in a hospital setting eventually. And as a protective dad, what did he do? He thought, this isn't good enough and it won't stand. He wanted to protect his daughter, and the rest is history. Coming up, I know you see the Hall of Saves behind me. This is a dated picture. Believe it or not, in the last couple of weeks, the roof has been raised to make room for the, I think, additional 1,200 lives that still need to be posted. We're going to run a clip. And what struck me was, you are an ambassador for LifeVac in the early days. And Bobby, if you could run this news clip where John appeared on a Dallas morning show, and I want you to pay attention to the number of saves. So this was only a few years ago, but listen to the number of saves when asked how many have LifeVac, intervened and saved lives.
You're going to embarrass me now.
No, it's fine. Listen, you knew what you knew, right?
Yeah.
Is this going? Okay. No. Stand with us. Here we go.
All right.
Maneuver, but not everybody knows how to perform it correctly, especially on small children, babies. So a new FDA-cleared device takes away the guesswork. Longtime EMT John Salerno of Bailey Safety Consultants in Fort Worth is here to tell us about it. Good morning.
There he is.
Good morning. How are you?
LifeVac is what it's called, and some cities across the country already have it in their vehicles in case the Heimlich fails. So how many lives has it saved so far?
So far, it's credited with saving 12 lives.
That is amazing. Okay, and you know what? From what you told me about this, I can totally understand why it works, and we're going to show people in just a second. Who came up with it?
The inventor is Arthur Lee. He has an interesting backstory where he was in a hospital with his son and he saw a mom hysterical crying. She just lost her son to a choking incident, and he swore that he would do something so no other family can go through that again.
How wonderful. Okay, and it's just this device, no batteries needed,
no
anything
batteries,
like that.
Nope. Very simple use.
So let's talk first about how do you assess someone is choking? What are the signs?
Well,
it seems obvious, but not necessarily.
Well, if you see somebody choking, they're coughing, they still have an air exchange. Once the universal sign is when they put their hands up to their throat, you don't hear any air exchange, that's when you should step in. You should go in and offer some help. The Heimlich maneuver is effective in 70 to 80% of the time, but it has its restrictions on height, weight, pregnancy, frail.
Right. And you know what? For some of us, it seems intimidating to learn. I don't know why, but this is so simple. So why don't you show people how this works?
All right.
Let's change places.
Okay.
Look how good you are.
To learn how to use it, it's a 3-minute video. Anybody
I
can use
swore I
it.
was going to lose weight after that interview.
Place it on a
I say
patient's
that all the
face,
time,
just like a
John.
regular plunger. Suctions
It
used.
seems
It's
so
simplistic.
logical.
Push down, pull up.
Boom.
Place, push, pull.
So why
that's
hasn't somebody thought of this before?
Great question.
Because it's so easy. I don't know. I couldn't tell you why someone hasn't thought about this until Arthur Lee.
And you were telling me about a mother who was in the car and she had a disabled son,
Yes.
right? Tell that story real quick.
Our last save was in Idaho. Mom pulled through a drive-through of a restaurant. Her son is disabled with MS. Put a whole bunch of French fries in his mouth and started choking. Mom had LifeVac right next to her seat. She knew she couldn't get him out in time.
No way she could reach around.
Nope. So she grabbed LifeVac and in the wheelchair got to extract all the fries from his throat.
That is absolutely amazing. Okay, like you said, it works for people with a height difference, people like this in this case, pregnancy, all that kind of stuff. Real
We had
quickly,
wheelchairs
so
now,
for
right?
parents out there, you're getting ready to start school, sending your kids off to school. What are some of the top choking hazards, especially for children?
Grapes. They seem soft and chewable.
Really?
Grapes are very, very dangerous for kids. You want to cut them into 4s.
Would not have thought that.
Buttons fall off your shirt. Dog food is a big thing. If you have dogs, kids like to see the dogs eat. They want to put that hard stuff in their mouth as well, and they choke on those.
Okay, so for people who are interested
Over
in this, maybe want to have this
350
around the
items.
house, how much does it cost?
It's inexpensive, $70.
70, and it's available on Amazon.
It's on and LifeVac.net. You can get it.
There we go. Okay, so you can call 877-LifeVac for more information on the anti-choking device, or go to LifeVac.net. Also, we have one of these to give away right now to the 8th caller. To try to win, call 21.
Fantastic, John.
Yeah.
What a great job. 12 lives saved. Now, I've heard stories. I joined LifeVac in January of this year. Was already last summer at the 1,000th live save party. I feel like the momentum has, fully caught fire. And fast forward, in a couple of weeks, we're going to have a 3,000 live saved party.
That is amazing. That is amazing. When you really digest that, 3,000 lives saved from a piece of equipment that that it's so easy to use. So effective, man. That's 3,000 kids or elderly that are still walking the planet today because of this one device.
Yep, absolutely. And you hit the nail on the head there. I'm always struck by, it's not just the life, it's the circle, it's the family, the immediate family, the community, the first responders. We have viral videos from Austin, Texas, El Monte, California, Ackworth, Georgia. Now a new one from Georgia. I forget the Dunwoody. They come in so much, and then in turn, the sharing of those stories, sharing the stories and sharing the in your network. You're going to talk about Destin, Florida. You're in recently with a gentleman there. Talk about that. It just in turns protects and saves more lives, because we always say we have it. We don't want you to ever have to use it.
Yeah, it's the best present you never want to have to open.
Right.
So the one thing you just hit it on the head, it's community, right? And it's sharing, and it's just sharing of information, and how this intertwined, like with post-traumatic stress. We're going to go we started a hashtag walk the bridge movement for post-traumatic stress, and now it's global. It's done in the UK. It's done all over the country. And a friend of ours wanted to start it in Destin, Florida. So I started following his page.
And who is that?
Huh?
Who is that?
This guy, Ty, he's one of the part of the biker clubs of Southern Dogs. It's a law enforcement motorcycle club. And he wanted to start it in Destin Beach, Florida. So as I'm following his page, I see one of his friends on the page. This guy, he's a deputy sheriff. His name is Shane Forsman. He is from Fort Walton Beach, Florida. And on his page, he had something he was promoting LifeVac, that he wanted to get into all the schools. He's been fighting for it and getting in all the squad cars. So I reached out to him, and I said I was going to be down in Destin. I want to talk to you because I know a little bit about LifeVac, and maybe I could help you out. And I went down and I met with this guy. He has great passion for LifeVac. He believes in it. He bought, I think, 70 or 80 units, and he's going to put them in all the patrol cars. And now I connected him with Arthur, and Arthur now I think is going to go down there next week and talk about the legal aspects and talk to the board and all the sheriffs down there. So, man, that's what the community does. Just a small. Me and Arthur were talking the other day, and we said, loud voices, loud pipes on bikes and voices. We could save the world.
Absolutely. Change the world, save the world, and eliminate. 5,000 people a year die of accidental choking death, and it's gonna go away. It's just a matter of, and it's people like yourself spreading the word that's going to help it help Arthur and all of our missions get accomplished. So talk about your radio, 99% radio.
Yes.
And why do they call you Sideshow? What's that all about?
Well, two reasons. Obviously, if you notice, my eye is lazy. It looks to the side. All right. So I got a lazy eye, and I hosted a show. So one of the hosts goes, when I joined the biker community, right, I was in a club, and they go, oh, all right, so I'm going to call you Sideshow. They Delta Chi these names to you, and it just stuck, man. And,
I like it. I like it. I know your wife's involved. I know we have a couple of pictures. Your wife is very involved. I saw her promoting one of the biker events. A lot of suicide awareness. There she is. You call your better half, and I saw a few videos. The events that you do, the walking the bridge. What's that called?
It's called #WalkTheBridge, and it started in Rockwall, Texas. We actually, as a motorcycle community, we saw this one Marine walking a bridge in Rockwall. It was the Highway 66 bridge, and he was walking to lose weight, and he was walking with the American flag to also support his brothers and sisters in arms. So we were talking about post-traumatic stress and how many people we're losing to suicide, all our first responders and our veterans. And I said, man, why don't we walk the bridge? Why don't we walk a bridge and show community? So then we started with about 11, 12 people. We started walking a bridge just so people can connect and talk, because traditional therapies sometimes don't work for you. Some people don't like sitting in a counselor's office. That's just not them. They want to get out and move.
Right.
So they started, before we knew it, it started growing just like LifeVac, and the word started spreading. And now it is a global mission. They walk in like 5 different parts of the UK every month. They walk in Montana and Alabama and Kansas. Every month, there are people join together, new and old, and they walk, and they feel like you can decompress. So out of that, when we talk about community, while we were doing that, Karen Solomon from Massachusetts, she is the founder of First Help. Used to be called Blue Help, and they kept all the statistics on first responder suicide. And she called me, and we started talking, and she goes, man, I would love to put a monument up someplace. She goes, I've got 5 states that I'm looking at, and Texas is one of them. What would you think about putting a monument in Texas? So I said, that we were thinking about that. That's great. Let's get it done. We reached out to some of our politicians. Every other state didn't want it. No state wanted it. They thought it was highlighting suicide. They thought it was, something that would be bad.
How about lifting the veil?
Yeah. Our politicians here in Texas turned around and said, you know what?
Buddy Shane Forsman's reaching out.
Shane, man, I tell you, another great path that has crossed in my life. He is a wonderful and blessed soul. Like I said, he's going to meet with Arthur on Thursday, and they are going to bring it to Tech. They're going to bring LifeVac to Texas and in Florida and save lives. It's
going to be the first state monument. Robert Mitchell, shout out to you. And our hearts are with you and your family. So talk about the first ever monument or park to honor those that have fell victim.
So yeah, we started the ball rolling. We reached out to a couple of politicians, Senator Hall's office, and an ex-Marine, never an ex-Marine, but a veteran Marine.
I always struggle that with myself. I talk to someone, and I walk a.
You're never an ex-Marine,
right?
So
retired
veteran Marine, and we told them about it. They brought it to the governor, and they brought it to everybody in the state of Texas, all the politicians. And they said, yes, we want it here in Texas. We want to be the lead runner to help combat first responder suicide. And at 5 years, it took a long time, but 5 years of perseverance and moving forward and getting a whole bunch of different sponsors on board. And a beautiful park was built over in Rockwall, Texas, right next to the Heroes Memorial Bridge, which we had renamed from the Highway 66 bridge. And about 300 families were flown in. Wow. And they were able to see their family members etched on the stone wall. And it brought, I want to say it brought healing, but it brought, it really made them think that, you know what, my loved one was not forgotten.
And they're not alone, certainly.
In a first responder field, when you perish from suicide, you're forgotten. You don't get an inspector's funeral. You don't get all the benefits from a line of duty death. You're not put on the wall in Washington. And the families are forgotten. Karen made it the point not to forget these families, and it's a wonderful thing.
We really need to recognize our politicians. We point out when they fail us. We should really applaud them when they do great things. And I just noticed I'm not great with the comments. I see Shane's comment, but I saw something from Mr. Mitchell, our friend who's got a bike run coming up for his grandson, October 6th. And Robert, if we can be there, if we can support it in any way, we're going to do that, because you're you're part of us, and we're with you.
Have Robert give me a call. Have Robert give me a text, and I will promote it on the show this Wednesday. That bike run.
Yeah. Now you're on. I think I have a promo. Two things I want to highlight before we have to move to the save of the week, which is exciting. Look at this. Every Wednesday. So no, that's in 2 days if I'm doing the math. Every Wednesday, 3 to 5, and that's Central Time.
Central Time. Yep.
And folks don't have to be in Texas. As I've learned recently, you can go to the website or the app and listen to John with the 99%. What's the 99% radio network? What's that name entail?
Well, there are two types of bikers in the world. You have your 1% clubs, and then which are your outlaw motorcycle clubs, and then you have your 99% clubs. The 99% clubs are kind of breaking the stigma because everybody looks at a leather jacket and they automatically think you're an outlaw biker or you're a bad seed in society. Right. So they wanted to break the stigma. So they showed that 99% of the motorcycle riders out there are either law enforcement, veteran, or good-hearted souls. So that's what 99 is really about. And the 1% community stays to their self. The 99% community stays to their self. It's just, it's kind of to break the stigma from the outlaw motorcycle club to the law enforcement and veteran motorcycle clubs.
Like the Sons of Anarchy and the Hells Angels types of things.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And Arthur will take me to task on this because he is, as you know, a 99%er, a proud member of the community, and I'm a novice. I ride a bicycle. As of yet, I'm still in the midst of my training, but I'll get there with you and hopefully join you on an upcoming run. If we could bring up one more time, because that's coming up, the 2024 Golf Classic, 30th of September. So that's something that you're running. It's the Thin Blue Line.
No, I am not. I'm not running it.
Well, you're helping support it,
promote it, and support it. It's the Thin Blue Line Law Enforcement Motorcycle Club. They support so many organizations, and this is going to go to the Fallen Officers Fund. All the money raised, and that's going to be on Monday the 30th.
Wow! So we wish you luck. He's probably closed out. Do you know Deborah Johnson?
Yes.
She's praising good works.
Deborah,
you bring it. Your people are showing up.
Deborah Johnson's in Florida. Deborah Johnson's in Florida. She is the mom of one of our hosts on the show, Pitbull.
Wow, that's great. That's great. Hey, listen, I want you to stick around because you mentioned the UK before, and in lieu of a save of the week domestically, and before I even introduce the save of the week, I have to shout out to the Bannigans, who I tried to tape a segment with because they're in the UK. And right now at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, it's about 2 or 3 in the morning. I can't do the math. It's late. So we tried to tape one. They were fantastic. They couldn't have been better. The stories, the anecdotes, the talks about Oliver Steeper Foundation. And I fouled up the team's call, the recording of it. It just looked horrendous. So from a production standpoint, it ruined it. We're going to get them back. But we're borrowing one of their saves that just came through. I found it on your page, actually. So when I was learning more about John Salerno, I saw that you posted this save recently from the UK, and it's just heart-wrenching. So we're going to see this. We're going to see the young man, 2 years old, and now he has a Man United jersey on. So I don't want that to color anything because that's not important. I'm a Man City supporter. It's really not important. But we'll hear his mom, Ashley Buffton from Ashford in the UK. And Bobby, if we could run that. This is our save of the week, and such moving audio that you'll hear from the mom in depicting and describing what happened with LifeVac and her son, who had trouble with a penny. There he is.
I was in my conservatory with my 2-year-old son, who is a lovely little boy, but he likes to explore putting things in his mouth. So I'm really good at, making sure there's nothing dangerous. But I'd moved a shelf and was cleaning behind it, and obviously I'd missed a penny coin that he had found, and I had no idea that he'd found it. He was jumping up and down next to me, so I was sweeping and doing what I was doing, and I heard him take a really sharp intake of breath, and as I turned around, he was clearly not able to breathe. He was panicking, his eyes were watering, and I completely freaked out. It was absolutely terrifying. My heart stopped. And because I didn't know what was in his mouth either, I had no idea what was going on. Like I could see he was choking, but I didn't know on what, or whether it was his saliva. So I did the usual. I tipped him upside down, started administering back blows, and nothing was working. Nothing was moving. He was just getting more and more frantic. And at one point I noticed that his lips were starting to go blue. And that's when I went for the LifeVac. I put him on his back, which, is really counterintuitive when someone's choking, to lay him on their back. But that's what the instructions said to do. So I trusted it. The first time I tried to administer it, he turned his head. So there was no suction able to work. And I thought, I'm going to do it again. At this point, I had 999 and I'd been put on hold. So I had my phone on loudspeaker and I'd been put on hold. And it was 6 minutes, I think, before I actually got even in contact with an operator. By that time, the LifeVac had managed to pull the penny out. I heard a penny plop on the floor. He vomited and then took a massive breath of air in. And then I just remember feeling relief, and I picked the penny up and I was still on the phone to the operator. It took another 13 minutes for paramedics to arrive, by which time, had I not have had the LifeVac, serious damage could have been done, because no amount of me hitting him on his back or doing any of the manoeuvres that would normally have worked was working, because of the penny had managed to lodge itself sideways. And the guilt I felt afterwards for missing that penny coin. I mean, it's something that parents are always worried about, is your child choking. And when you see it in real life, it does change how you see things, because now I'm always just looking for everything's a choking hazard. But that LifeVac literally is what I believe stopped my son from dying or having severe brain damage. If I didn't have it, I would have had to have waited until those paramedics turned up, and then for them to get him to the hospital, for them to be able to remove it. So in a time-sensitive situation, it saved his life, I believe, anyway. And that's why I'm doing this interview. I wouldn't normally feel comfortable doing things like this, but if my doing this interview can save another child, or another parent hears it and thinks, you know what, that's a really handy thing to have.
Wow.
You could hear the emotion in her. You can hear the emotion in her voice.
Every pause, right? Ashley Buffton from Ashford in the UK. Again, you talk about community. I learned of this on your Facebook page. I mean, it came from the UK. These stories come in just about every day. I believe this just happened a few days ago. And what's interesting is promoted by Oliver Steeper's parents. I believe she received this from a family that lost a child in a choking tragedy. And then how do you turn good from it? The same way Arthur Lee invented it from a tragedy. So it's so satisfying or fulfilling to hear these stories, and it must make you feel like you're part of the solution.
The one thing that really gets me is she said she was giving her back blows, right? Giving the child back blows. And any parent and anybody, just any basic human being, the pressure of those back blows that you have to give a child or somebody, nobody wants to hit anybody because we're always scared of hurting somebody.
And there's a 30% at least chance of injury, right?
They're never done correctly. They're never done right because you're scared of hurting somebody. It's your basic nature. Mm-hmm. And you're not. And when you're trained, it's muscle memory. When you're trained to do the Heimlich maneuver, in any class you do that, they tell you, all right, just don't push up. So they just say, you put your thumb here. So they never train you on the amount of force that you're going to need to really expel anything. So it's muscle memory. Nobody wants to hurt anybody. That's why it's so simple. Anybody can do it. And, it's an escalation. Me and Shane were talking about this the other day. A toolbox full of tools for a mechanic. They'll always pick a tool that they need for the right job, right? If one tool doesn't work, they'll use another one. LifeVac's the same way. It's an escalation of medical devices that you need in your home, in your police car, because if something doesn't work, there's always another resource to have.
Couldn't say it better.
Yeah.
John Salerno, thank you so much for joining us.
You.
I'm sure this won't be the last time we talk. It's so great. I'm so appreciative that Arthur passed along your contact. And so glad that you could join us. You're in the arena down there in Texas, but it's just so great to connect with you.
Same here, brother. I do appreciate it. God bless. And anything you ever need.
All right. Thanks again so much. Wow. Yeah. Wow. A lot of emotion. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back with just a little bit of news about what LifeVac team has been up to. A little bit of news highlights, what's coming up, and we'll take a quick break, and we'll be back with also our contest. So we always have that graphic. Donna Yaisley is so great. She's the keeper of all the saves, all the information. She has the same passion for coming up on 3,000 that she did in the first 12 or first 1 to 10. No difference in the passion that Donna Yaisley shows when she shares this information every night now. So we'll be back after this break.
I was in the living room when I heard my son Carter, who was 2 at the time. I looked over and I saw him grabbing for his face and his throat. I grabbed the LifeVac. I put the mask on his face and placed push-pull. The LifeVac dislodged the ice cube from his airway, and he started crying. The most amazing sound I've ever heard in my entire life. Please protect your family. Get a LifeVac.
Hi, I'm Arthur Lee, founder, CEO, and inventor of LifeVac, a simple rescue device that could save a child's life in a choking emergency. All these people were saved with LifeVac. People may not realize that on average, 14 people a day die from choking-related incidents. Every 5 days, one of those is a child. As simple as place, push, pull.
To learn more, please visit lifevac.net.
We're back on The Man in the Arena. I'm Rick Fatscher. This is Charlie. He's out on the road with me a lot. He helps save lives as well. He's our demonstration. We ordinarily have an obstruction. Sometimes it's a yellow ball, sometimes it's not. But, besides Transparent Gumby and the Warners, our dedicated audience, they've been here for every show. And thank God, because I'd be lonely just talking to Charlie and I get a round of applause for the Warners. You hear it. So, again, I'm in the Hall of Saves, and I'm here on the set relatively by myself, but I'm always reminded of this video. So I'm blessed to work with Arthur Lee. I'm blessed to work sometimes with Brian Kilmeade. And this video came upon us after some of the worlds collided. So Mike Rowe, who sings our opening song and is a big fan of LifeVac, was a guest on Brian Kilmeade's national radio show. And we got past this little clip, wasn't on the air. It may have been on the air, but Allison Mansfield was nice enough to share this clip with us. And I think we all collectively just were in amazement at this conversation between two of the media greats.
Lee.
Yeah.
All right. And thank you for introducing him, by the way. This is the guy who invented LifeVac. Shameless plug. Had him as a guest on my podcast maybe a year ago. We have since saved 10 lives in my audience. Just my audience alone.
They bought it.
Because they bought the device, and the stories that come in are incredible. I only make the point because a guy like Arthur is doing something that needs to be done that he also happens to love. There's meaning in his work. I mean, you've known him all your life. This guy is now, he has a mission, he has a purpose, he has a product, and he is obsessed with getting it in every school, every airplane, and every firehouse around the country. We should all be so lucky to give a damn to that degree. right? But he worked his ass off to get there.
And he did. And it's all an American company, built in America with American products, mailed out by Americans on Long Island. And he was offered the same amount of money to sell the company. He wasn't convinced the person was as passionate about him, so he said no.
Look, man, those guys matter. Their stories are important.
Wow. Great evidence. So Arthur, who's out on assignment, is normally with us here. Is down in Florida. We believe maybe watching tonight. So Arthur, we love you, man. And now just a quick little update on what's coming up for the team. I want to give a shout out to our Vice President of Sales, Heidi Felix, who this week we were able to go to the Heritage Excellence in Healthcare Awards, where Heidi was honored as just delivering excellence in healthcare. She's been with LifeVac, officially for 4 years, but she was an advocate for far longer. And I believe we have a picture from the event where she received her award over at Bethpage. So the Heritage elects. Maybe we don't have the picture, but trust. What's that? No. All right, we'll talk about Heidi. Laura, this is the Tunnel for Towers LifeVac team. This was last year's team, but this year this Sunday, actually, it's coming up. So I better get training right after this show. I'm going to get back out on the road because there's my daughter, Ryan, my son, Ricky, Brian, of course, Brian Kilmeade, and Colonel Chris Douglas, his wife, Susan, and I'm forgetting the Montes, I believe, all part of Team LifeVac One Nation. Will be getting together Sunday. And do we have other pics from this little, or is that it? So there's Brian and I with our dear friend, Massapequa firefighting legend George Kane, who lost his life September 11th, and we run to honor him and all those that have been lost since then, that day, and since. And it's always an honor for us whenever we do this run to stop by and visit with the banner that represents George Kane. Many of you watching know and honor and love George, and we honor him every year when we do this run. Dan, do we have that picture? Okay. Now that's Colonel Chris and Brian. Again, just so if you hadn't heard already, Colonel Chris and his family are going to be running Team LifeVac One Nation, and it has to be my fault to not put the picture of Heidi Felix and her family for the Excellence in Healthcare Awards. Okay, so the picture's too big. Yeah, that's all right. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna get Heidi's picture up next week. You guys all know it. Heidi's normally here helping me. She's a co-host. She's vice president of sales. She does it all. This week, she went down with Arthur to honor a save that was made in South Florida with connections to Cintas and IKEA. And they were down there meeting with those families, and we've seen enough of this not that we could ever get enough of Colonel Chris and Brian on the set, but we can come back. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, there we are. So without further ado, it's been a great show. John Salerno, 99% Radio, Sideshow. Oh, there's Heidi. There's Heidi and her beautiful family. And that was the night that we were all there at Eisenhower Park, not Eisenhower Park, for God's sakes, Bethpage at the Heritage Excellence in Healthcare Awards. And couldn't be more deserved. So Donna Yaisley, Stephen was there. It's just Stephen Oliveri, the man kind of behind the original story that he shared with Arthur. Stephen Oliveri, also a guest on the show, was the man that relayed the story about the 7-year-old that led to the invention of LifeVac. So we haven't asked before, but we always show at the end of our broadcast the live saved. John Salerno, thank you so much for being with us. There's Heidi. Heidi's tuning in. We love you, Heidi. And then, Doug Tobin. I know. Congratulations again, Heidi. So no one has really guessed And so we're not going to have it a contest, but if you want to put in a guess, we're closing in on 3,000, and it'll be a surprise to me because I didn't even look. But it's really amazing that from John Salerno's testimony, or when he appeared on that Dallas morning show only a few years ago, 12 saves. And he went on as an advocate for LifeVac because he believed that much in the product. I got to tell you, that's faith, and that's a professional knowing what's needed out in the field. He was an EMT for 12 years. So let's take a look. Total saves. Thank you, Donna Yazzie, for producing. Look at it. Wow. 1,788 children. 2,000. Yeah, I had to interrupt the, 2857. It's incredible. We're on the move. Coming up November 7th. Well, this weekend, Tunnel for Towers run. Team LifeVac will be out. I know Heidi's going to be there. I think Laura's going to be there. Donna Yazley's going to be there. Pete Corwin's going to be there. Colonel Chris. Brian can't be there. I'll be there. My son Rick. My daughter Ryan. Who knows? You could be there. The Warners could be there. We just don't know. But come out and support us. You can go to our page, donate if you'd like, but support us. Support those. The Tunnel for Towers, fantastic organization. We have so much great stuff coming up. We're excited for the show. We're welcome. We're happy that you could join us tonight, and we'll see you next week. We broadcast Monday nights, but like and share us, throughout the week when you see us on Facebook, when you see us on YouTube, and we'll help spread the word and get this device everywhere that it needs to be. Keep going, LifeVackers.